up, you guys? I want to answer one of the questions that pops up more than anything else when I'm helping people evaluate a business to buy. And this pops up a tremendous amount whenever it comes to businesses like routes, like FedEx routes and bread routes. And that question that people ask me is whether you can run this thing absentee. Do they need to quit their job? These sorts of things. And the reality is, yes, you can run these things absentee. And that's what a lot of the brokers and sellers want you to believe. The reality, again, is it's true. You can run these businesses absentee. The problem is this is one of the most dangerous and misleading questions to ask a seller that you could potentially ask in any of your evaluations. So there's a couple of different reasons why this is such a dangerous question to ask. And the first part is the definition of the word absentee. Well, we know that you can't just do absolutely nothing, click our heels, and money just flies into our bank account. Like, you got to do something, right? You got to write a paycheck. You got to do some payroll. You got to maybe make a phone call here or there. You got to do something. Well, what exactly is that something? Is it working 5 hours a week, but maybe you only have time to work on the weekends, and that's not the 5 hours a week that you need to work. You need to work in the middle of the day on Tuesday, and you don't have that time. Well, is it still absentee? Well, it's only 5 hours a week, kind of. Yeah, sure, it is absentee. What if you only have to drive a truck 6 weeks out of the year? Well, if someone that's owning the business and they run it month after month after month, they're not doing anything, they're never getting in a truck, and then the last part of the year they have to get in a truck for 6 weeks out of the year, is it absentee? Maybe. What if that 5 hours a week requires your physical presence? What if it requires phone calls? Oh, okay, I can do the phone call thing, but I can't do the physical thing. That's not absentee enough, right? So what exactly is the word absentee? The other problem is that you can run any business absentee. Like, give me any business in the world, I'll run it absentee, and I'll run it right into the ground, right? So you can take any business, run it absentee, and the secondary problem is, how long will it last? Because again, whenever you are absentee, your risk levels inherently go up. Now, how much do they go up? Well, it depends on your processes, your systems in place, your management, all those sorts of things. So again, any business can be run absentee. Does not matter what it is, it can be run absentee. You don't need to ask the broker or the seller ever again whether you can run an absentee, because the answer is always yes. It's always yes, because you can run anything absentee and you can also run it right into the ground. Now, granted, some businesses can be run absentee and be more successful, but again, where are those risk levels? That's a really hard thing to quantify precisely. You can't just say, oh, well, it can be run absentee and it will be successful. That doesn't exist because all businesses fail on a long enough timeline. You have to deal with that risk level. And really, you have to define for you what exactly absentee means. Do I have 5 hours a week? Is it 5 hours at any point in the day or the night, the weekends? What does it mean to work that 5 hours a week? Do I have to be there physically? Do I have to get on the phone? Do I have to be on call? What exactly does absentee mean for you? And then secondly, what risk levels are you willing to take on? Some people can take on a tremendous amount of risk, or they have a tremendous amount of working capital that can mitigate those risks, or they have redundant management in place. That mitigates risk. So you can do a lot of things to make these businesses indeed absentee and successful, but what are you going to give up to be able to have that? Sometimes people give up a higher level of profitability because they put in redundant management or higher paid drivers or a better fleet. So you can run these things absentee and change the operational structure around to where it will allow you to be more absentee, because a lot of times people will try to look at these businesses and say, well, this one's not absentee because the seller's not absentee. Well, maybe you just need to put in a manager. Sometimes it's all you need to do to convert these things into being absentee. And maybe that seller who was working full-time in the business just wanted to increase his net income because it makes his margins look better, because a lot of people think you can evaluate these businesses using margins or percentages of gross. It doesn't work, because you could do little things like this to alter it very, very easily for anyone that doesn't know what they're doing. So whenever we look at these things, we're trying to figure out, how do we want to balance our risk, our time, and our money. And trying to figure out those three things is going to be different with each route. And each route can be changed to greater or lesser degrees. They're not all equally able to be changed. That's an important thing to think about right now. So what a lot of people at this point think is, I just need to see what the seller's doing, and then I'll know whether the business is absentee. Again, we don't know if the seller is running the business into the ground, whether he needs to eventually start working quite a bit more because he's been pushing things off. So what the seller is doing doesn't really matter. Here's what does matter: understanding the industry so well to where you understand what successful operations are in terms of that industry on a day-to-day basis. The guy wakes up, he takes a phone call, he writes some paychecks, he comes in for a meeting, he looks over his trucks. Starting to know things on a day-to-day grind like that is what it's going to take for you to be able to say, hey, this guy's running things really well, and this guy, who's absentee, is running things into the ground. So you have to understand each unique business and each industry to know what you need to be doing to be successful. Otherwise, everyone's going to tell you that it can be run absentee, because it can, and everyone's just going to say, just put a manager in place and you're good to go if it's not being currently run absentee. And again, what are my risk levels? What does absentee mean? What do I need to do to succeed? What are those intricate and unique aspects of the business that are unique to every single industry? When you know the answer to that, then you can say whether the business can be run absentee. You may look at a tree trimming business and say, hey, this thing can't be run absentee. There are issues that come up every single day. There's trucks, there's people, there's low-wage employees, there's all sorts of problems. This can't be run absentee. But FedEx routes, well, let's see, I know what those guys do when they're successful. We need to hire a manager, and then I probably need to spend a few hours here taking care of these and these things. When you can start to refine things in that level of thinking, then you can start to say whether it's absentee for you. So anyway, hopefully this helps out a whole bunch. Like, subscribe. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.